Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. So, real quick, I haven't done a live stream in like forever. So, I'm trying this. Hello, Double E. Hello, Bavari. Hello, everybody. I think it's important that I kind of keep keep this muscle in my brain, so to speak, if that makes any sense. But yeah, it's been a while, so good to be back here. Let me pop out chat. Going to be a little bit seat of my pants, but a few things up front. Later on, I might be taking live questions over on, hey, Nathaniel. Hey, dude, thank you so much for being a, not a subscriber, for being a member. They're called memberships on YouTube. I really appreciate it. I always see your name. I always have to update the list, and I'm like, oh, he's still there. That's great. So thank you so much. Yeah, so largely today, I'm just going to be sort of doing a... Every time I do this, I'm like, it's sort of an experimental thing, but largely I'm just trying to figure it out. And as you can probably tell by the channel, I like to just sort of throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. Oh, we got Ari in here. Ari, I wasn't worried about your threaded comment the other week. Don't worry about it at all. And X Wolf, good to see you. Thank you also for being a member. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so in the description, I put how to do the Discord call-ins. That's going to be later in the call, but what you want to do is you join the Discord, you hop in the calling in chat. I'll drop you down into you're up next and then live chat. I'm just going to pick people at random, allow you to call in and just ask whatever you want to ask. Also, let me just see here. I need this. Also, I posted a community post where I said, hey, people, if you want to just ask a question, you can email me at the channel's email, or you can do whatever, really. So, yeah. So real quick, the first question from chat is one I was going to sort of discuss from Aman Savant, and that's about Halo Infinite. So he asked what I think about the newest flight. So I tweeted out that I don't want to play too much Halo Infinite. I did play Halo Infinite during this flight a little bit. I think it's still going today. I hope so, because I wanted to play a little bit more. I really like it. I'm sold on Halo Infinite's multiplayer. Like, I don't need any more convincing. I had so much fun during the first flight, and this last flight did nothing to dissuade my interest in Halo Infinite. Hopefully the PC stuff, like I know, oh no, it's Alex was complaining about how bad PC was. I have to wonder how much of that was because he was running OBS and his PC at the same time. Time will tell. But I really like Halo Infinite. I think the multiplayer is great. I like how they're handling the battle pass. I agree it would be cool if there were more ways to get XP, but hopping on and doing your dailies, then hopping off sounds good to me now that I'm living that dad life. Do you know if Ryan is having fun since he missed the last one? Ryan tweeted he was having a blast, X-Wolf. I had high confidence that Ryan would like it very much. I got all my production stuff over here on the left. So if you see me looking to the left, it's because I'm like looking at show notes. It's not really show notes. It's just kind of bullet points about the stuff that I wanted to talk about. But here's how this stream is going to be, at least for this one. It's just going to be me hanging out, talking with you. I didn't have a video prep for today. And somebody said, hey, where's your video? Did you miss a day? And I haven't missed a day since March 17th. So today's video is going to be a live stream. And then I might do this more often because here's the thing on Mondays. Right now I'm on paternity leave, but when I go back to work, I'll probably be doing more live streams Monday evenings. I don't think I can do them early in the morning because I never wake up early. My wife's a saint and she gets our son and takes care of him in the morning so I can sleep until like 9. My son wakes up at 6:30 a.m. every single day. But yeah, anyway, let's talk about the news. You don't care about about family stuff. You want to, let me see. I got my stuff programmed here. Let's see if I break it. I think it was, no, I don't have it programmed. Sorry. One second. It should be Studio Mode. Yeah, here we go. So boom. I labeled it something stupid on the stream deck. So the first story that I was going to talk about today was the HBO Last of Us screenshot. Now, there has been a lot of talk about The Last of Us lately, and People are wondering where the multiplayer what's going on with the multiplayer version of the game, and they're hiring up for it. It is a priority for them. Looking at this tweet, though, they did give us a good tease. So they did this live stream, and a lot of people were upset because largely it was merch and just, hey, buy stuff. But then at the end of it, later on at 8 p.m., they're like, oh, yeah, we do have something coming later. I have to imagine that was some sort of agreement between HBO and Naughty Dog. And they tweeted this screenshot, which is, Joel and Ellie from Last of Us. And it looks great. If this is indicative of what we can expect from the TV show, I'm in. I know a lot of people were always fussy about the actress and actor. And a little bit of a story about that. I remember when Gal Gadot was confirmed to be the actress for Wonder Woman. And everyone was like, this is bad. Gal Gadot, how could you do this? And I'm like, you're idiots. It was the strangest negative reaction I had ever seen on the internet. And I said, I am stoked to see Gal Gadot play Wonder Woman. I think she is perfect. I think she has the experience. And she obviously knocked it out of the park, right? But if you remember, the reaction was incredibly negative to her when she was initially revealed to be the actress behind the character. So same thing happened with Joel and Ellie here. That was my anecdote here. So Joel and Ellie, I can't remember, who is it again? He played Pedro Pascal. Yeah, that's right. And Bella Ramsey, Joel and Ellie. There was a big negative reaction to at least Bella Ramsey, but my reaction is always, maybe we should wait and see how the show is before we start freaking out about any casting news. I think that we all have that initial reaction, like Pattinson being cast for Batman. I remember that was another one that was sort of controversial. Then you see him in the suit and you're like, yeah, okay, I can buy this world and kind of jump into it. And yeah, Neil Druckmann also had a reaction. He said, when I first saw them on set in full costume, I was like, holy S word, it's Joel and Ellie. The HBO adaptation of Naughty Dog's The Last of Us is full steam ahead. Can't wait to show more from all of our projects. And then he said, happy Last of Us Day. People are very happy for them, of course. And honestly, Last of Us is amazing. And I cannot wait to see what they do on HBO. Already a lot of questions. And thank you, everybody, for chiming in. I see Atticus talking about, I know you have a busy life, but we need more live Destin. I don't know how often I'm going to be able to do this, honestly. Like, it's even just setting this up. I told my wife at like 10 o'clock, I said, you know what? I'm going to do a live stream today. I'm just going to try it and see what happens. So we're trying it out, seeing how it goes, seeing how people react to it. I see a lot of questions here in chat. I did say I would be taking questions over Discord and answering questions in a mailbag type fashion. At the end of the show, you can leave those on the community post. If you want to write in, if you want to call in, there's instructions on how to do that in the description below. So let's take a little break here and just look at what people in chat are asking. Do you think Xbox should invest in superhero games similar to what Sony are doing with Spider-Man? I think Microsoft should just buy WB. I think they tried to, and for some reason the deal didn't go through. That would have probably given them Batman and a lot of other stuff, but who knows what happened there? We don't know. Should they invest in more superhero games? That's sort of weird. Like, who's going to work on it? Like, who are they going to give it to? And that's a difficult question. Should they? I think it would be really smart if they got stuff like Star Wars and a Marvel IP, because if you look at what Insomniac has done with Spider-Man and what they're going to do with Wolverine, I'm very excited about Wolverine. We already know they have a good track record with Spider-Man, and even going further back, Sunset Overdrive, and like, there's not a lot of question there. So, Super Smozzy, should Xbox invest in superhero games? Yeah, sure. I mean, if you got to have a good plan, you need to have a good property to be developed by a team. X-Wolf Assassin says, how about Green Arrow by the Coalition? I don't think Green Arrow has the star power. I think it would have to be like the Avengers or Captain America or I don't know. It has to be something bigger than Green Arrow. X-Men. The stuff that has worked for Insomniac, the thing that worked for Insomniac was focusing on one character, and that was Spider-Man. So Spider-Man worked for them, and it would be interesting to see what a Marvel studio could do with a property. Now, the Coalition is working on something new. We don't know what it is. I believe it's a new IP, though, so I don't know for sure. Largely, I just want a new Batman game. The Boys, again, The Boys is awesome. I love The Boys, but it's niche, right? Let me go back to host solo. Oh my God, I don't know what I labeled everything. There. So my picture-in-picture is labeled DS. I don't know why I called it that. And then the other one's just one. I got to relabel my buttons. Anyway, the Xbox Mandalorian game with Jeff Grubb. Is Jeff Grubb the star? No, I'm guessing that Jeff Grubb released something. A Punisher game I'd be all in on. Nathaniel gets it. He says, give us a good Superman game. Exactly. There was all those rumors about WB potentially releasing a Superman game back in the day. I don't know if you remember that, but that would be great. It would be absolutely awesome to see a Superman game in action. I believe it's Nathaniel. Nathaniel, let me know if I'm saying your name wrong. I was just reading it to make sure. So real quick, let's talk about what everybody is talking about. Now my buttons aren't working. What is going on here? Sorry, everybody. There. All right. So the Halo technical preview, right? So we have the dates here. It looks like it goes 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th. It goes all the way until the 30th. Oh no, it closes today. It closed. I missed it. Dang it. I wanted to play more. But it'll be back open on September 30th. So there's going to be more flight access. You know, we've been playing a whole bunch of video games lately, and the reaction on Twitter. So let's just go to Twitter really quick and look up Halo Infinite, because the reason, and hey Smokeback, hey everybody, the reason that I go on Twitter is because it kind of gives you some sort of idea about what people are saying, and if you look, let's just see what sort of stuff pops up. So it's a lot of just what has been happening. Mint Blitz has been posting some really, really cool stuff. Uber Nick has posted a lot of really, really funny Halo Infinite stuff where like somebody jacked his Sparrow, but he had the grapple. So the guy who jacked the Sparrow went off the map. It was really, really good. And then some other people like, and I don't know why David Jaffe is elevating it, but they're posting screenshots of the wall. Well, okay, this guy, Ian talks about Halo lore and stuff like that. He's actually really great. And so he's diving into some of the little tidbits there. But let me just find the one I replied to because I found it humorous. And I said, oh yeah, my favorite thing to do in video games is stare at the floor. Because everybody was talking about the textures in Halo Infinite. And then people were reacting and saying, well, look at the textures in this game, Last of Us 2. And it's so weird to me that you would even attempt to compare a multiplayer game with a single player campaign experience in a jungle setting to a desert setting in a multiplayer game. And honestly, to me, looking at all of these screenshots of textures and stuff like that people are posting, and also Twitter is compressing the crap out of these, so that doesn't help it either. But looking at those textures, it's sort of interesting to me that people would have such a negative reaction because these look pretty darn good for a multiplayer version of a game and not a campaign experience. Do you remember Halo 3? When's the last time you did the Halo 3 jungle level? Because if you go play through that again today, it still looks really, really good. And I have to imagine that Halo Infinite is going to have different biomes, different sort of settings. We know they have a desert area. We know they have a jungle area, etc. Why has your new videos disappeared from my YouTube feed? Huddy, I don't know. Something about the algorithm has probably lowered my standing, but I make these videos for the subscribers, so just come to the channel every day. So anyway, everybody's loving Halo Infinite. Anybody who has been playing it Well, okay, you can't say everybody. I'm sorry. Like 90% of people who have played the Halo Infinite beta had positive things to say. Flight. It's not even a beta. Got to be careful with all the terms and everything because people will be getting angry and stuff like that. But yeah, so we saw the Halo Infinite flight. People are really positive. I'm excited about that. That was a big news story for the day. Yeah, Heidi, I don't know what's going on with the subscriber thing. Apologies for that. What do we got here? Nobody's calling in on Discord. That's fine. We have live questions. All right, let's go to the next story because the next story was a big one. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but the initiative announced that Perfect Dark would be the team at the initiative working on Perfect Dark would be teaming up with Crystal Dynamics. So real quick, this was a big story announced on a social media account with like no followers to the point I was following it because at some point they had confirmed that this was real. And they said, Perfect Dark update. We are partnering with Crystal Dynamics, the world-class team behind character-driven games such as Tomb Raider, to bring the first-person spy thriller to a new generation. The teams couldn't pass up a chance to work together. We're still early in development, but incredibly excited to use this unique opportunity to deliver on the vision for Perfect Dark. And if we look at the quote tweets, I was hoping Crystal Dynamics would be there, but they're not. Anyway, Crystal Dynamics also tweeted something. So let's just Google them. Crystal Dynamics, boom. What we got here? We couldn't be more excited to join forces with the initiative to bring Perfect Dark to a new generation of gamers. We thrive on reimagining epic heroes and can't wait to realize the first-person spy thriller together. We're thrilled to add Perfect Dark to our development efforts alongside Marvel's Avengers and Tomb Raider. So some people saw that as a positive. Some people felt concerned about it because Crystal Dynamics working on the Avengers wasn't the most positively regarded thing. And then we get this news that Crystal Dynamics and Perfect Dark are working together. Now, apparently David Jaffe did a whole video about this, and you know he works on that side of the industry and always has. So I would highly recommend that you watch that. But my sort of reaction was one that was similar to how the rest of the community reacted. I had to think about how to phrase it. I was initially like, that's weird because I don't normally see a company say, hey, we need help. So we got it. I was like, oh, all right. It just seemed like strange marketing, but a few things were pointed out about the post afterwards that sort of made me change my perception. First of all, Last of Us, which we were just discussing, there was a post where like 13 studios or something worked on Last of Us. So it's not uncommon for this sort of thing to happen. I think it's just uncommon because it's the initiative of a major Xbox studio, which actually had like 70 something employees, partnering with somebody like Crystal Dynamics, a major AAA studio. And then the fact that it was sort of announced and it was a big story of the day was surprising to a lot of people. But when you start actually thinking about it, oh yeah, I guess studios all the time work with other studios to get help. It's not normal to see this announced as like a press release in sort of a grandiose fashion in the way that Microsoft did it. It was little unexpected for a lot of people, myself included. And once you start realizing that it's a small team, et cetera, you start realizing things. King is overrated. By the way, if anybody does this and drops a few bucks, I will stop and read your question or comment. Thank you so much, King. I feel like Crystal Dynamics is a great studio. Avengers was a flop because of corporate stuff from Square to make Avengers a live service. So King, was that corporate stuff? Why would that be? I don't know that was a corporate thing because we have Outriders, which was published by Square. And there's the whole drama going on there with Outriders because Outriders was sort of a live service. And then we also have the Avengers game, which honestly, the fundamental problem with the Avengers game is the gameplay loop is fairly repetitive. It's too repetitive. There's not enough variety. So that was sort of my take on it. And I burnt out pretty quick. Like once you had to like level up your character all the time and everything. Yeah. Finished the campaign. And then I just kind of bounced because it just didn't grab you the way that you thought. Sort of the same thing with Anthem. I love playing through the campaign. And then after that, it didn't have end game content. Cause like, what are you going to do with that end game content? I don't know. It's a really difficult genre to break into. And a lot of companies who tried it, like I know EA tried it with Anthem. Now Crystal Dynamics tried it with the Avengers. It's not easy to do. Destiny has been one of the games that has stuck around the longest. There's a lot of MMORPGs like Final Fantasy XIV who have managed to do it. But to strike that balance, especially on console, of having a great game that also has RPG mechanics, has customizable characters that can be powered up in unique ways, while balancing the sandbox, it's a tremendous undertaking. And the idea that I think a lot of people are like, we got to get in on the live service. We got to make the money. So I understand your point, King, that you were saying. But yeah, it's just not easy. And we've seen people fail time and time again. And I think that that will continue to happen because it's not as easy to design for as people think. I'll say this about Anthem. You want to hear me talk about Anthem? I believed in Anthem. I believed in the team that worked on Anthem. I do think that game could have been saved, but EA had to make the business call at some point to say, yeah, we got to dump like another $100 million into this game to make it work. We're not going to do that. Go make Mass Effect 4. And I'm like, all right, that's a good trade-off. Mass Effect 4, which doesn't have to be a live service game, which doesn't have to constantly be updating, or Anthem, like a sort of like a good, I like the motion and the gameplay and the weapons of Anthem. I like that aspect of it. Building your sets so that you could do stupid powerful combos was a lot of fun with the spider, but the one mission that you would have to run, that was another problem. Like your optimal way to level up was just run Tyrant Mine for all eternity. And that's a problem when there's only like one core thing that you can do. And there's not a lot of other avenues to level up that are worth your time. And then when the Shaper Storms actually came into the game, they were kind of a bummer also. So I'm going to show this comment. It was held for review. It said, Xbox doesn't have big game franchises. You must be blind and stupid. The insults aren't necessary ever. But I guess that's sort of a good time to bring up the 2021 exclusives for Xbox. It's sort of a good jumping off point. Now, this video was really controversial and unexpectedly so. Let me see here. So largely, I just brought the images that I had here. And this was after reading like 300 comments or something like that about the video that I made. Maybe 4, I don't know. There was a lot of comments. So PlayStation 5 in 2021 had good games. Like their games were great. They had this, well, okay, maybe not Destruction All-Stars. Destruction All-Stars, Auto Chess, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. That was a good one. Chicory, Guilty Gear Strive, great fighting game. Where the Heart Leads, Tribes of Midgard. Good game, I've heard. Hunter's Arena of Legends, Axiom Verge, Fist, Toem, Jet, Solar Ash, Deathloop, Returnal, Kena, or K, I don't remember how to say it. Neo, which was a re-release remaster of 1 and 2. So they had Neo 2, and then the combo pack that some people count as 3 different releases. I just put Neo. I guess... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could give them one more. You could say Neo and Neo 2. Final Fantasy VII Update. The Eternal Castle. Ghost of Tsushima. Death Stranding. Oddworld Soulstorm. Virtual Fighter 5. Ys IX and Marquette. Now, people were really, really mad that I didn't have Virtual Fighter 5 on there. A re-release of a game or a remaster of a game it's also on Xbox. There's some new stuff in there, but it is a re-release. Oddworld Soulstorm also wasn't on my original list. I added it later. It is timed. It is also coming to Xbox. It is also on PC. Death Stranding Director's Cut, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, The Eternal Castle, Final Fantasy VII, and Neo. All those are re-releases. So kind of what I was trying to say with my list, and we'll get to the Xbox list in a second, is when I was looking at this, I'm just like, PlayStation lived off of re-releases this year. They re-released, oh yeah, Kana. It's Kana. That's right. They had a lot of re-releases, and I'm actually playing through Death Stranding Director's Cut. I want to sort of get through all of the PlayStation games that I have been on there, that I have been behind on. So looking at the Xbox list, now the first one right away, Ori Collection, the re-release. I mean, it's a 2021 release, and the thing about this list that made a lot of people mad was that the games weren't good on the Xbox list. I'm like, yeah, they're not. The conversation, I agree with that. The conversation is that Xbox doesn't have any exclusives. I'm like, they definitely do. And every list I've seen, in no list that I have seen, does Xbox end up coming out with fewer exclusives than PlayStation did in 2021. Xbox just had more exclusives on their platform that were not available on the PlayStation platform. So it was sort of weird. Like, the video I was originally trying to make was, let's look at the exclusives on PlayStation and see like how Xbox is doing in their goal to offer more games to their consumers. And then when I made the list, I was very surprised to see that, wow, Xbox actually had more exclusives than PlayStation did. So I made the video about that, and everybody got super mad. So anyway, here was the list. The Ori Collection re-release. It came out on Switch. Yes, I recognize that it's a re-release, but we did it for PlayStation. So I was like, all right, well, I mean, it's not a major hit or anything, but it is out on Xbox in 2021. So let's add it. We have Adios, Genesis Noir, Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. Now this one was a weird entry. I saw commenters that said Final Fantasy 14 shouldn't be on the PlayStation list because it came out like years ago. So Final Fantasy 14 has always been there. But then like there's the expansion coming out this year to Final Fantasy 14. So maybe I should add that one back. I don't know. But then Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis, that has been only out on Xbox. And then somebody said it's out in Japan on PlayStation. I don't know. So I Googled it. I honestly can't tell if that game is available in Japan right now. And also it's pre-release in Japan. I don't know. That game is weird. I don't know anything about Phantasy Star Online 2. The way I made this list was I looked at the Game Informer list of games, and anything that was listed that was only on Xbox, I made the original list, and anything that was listed that was only on PlayStation and released in 2021, that's how I made it. So yeah, I wasn't like trying to pull a fast one or anything. Helleborn, Wingspan, Space Jam, Death's Door. Death's Door is a Game of the Year contender. Flight Simulator was re-released. The Ascent, Lawnmower Simulator, Library of Erunia, Sam & Max, The Veil, Shadow of the Crown, 12 Minutes, Mist, The Big Con, Clown Gardens, The Lake, Surgeon Simulator 2, The Artful Escape, Skateboard 2, Sable, sort of an artsy indie game that a lot of people had liked. My friend Travis gave it a 7 over on IGN. Into the Pit, Football Manager 2022, Forza Horizon 5. We are like 40 days away from that game coming out. What else we get? Halo Infinite, OMNO, Song of Iron, Moonglow Bay, Anacrusis. That game does not look good. I'm just going to say it right now. Sorry. I'm normally a supporter of indies. That game looks like it needs more time. What else we got here? Into the Pit, Shredders. And then the one, Bright Memory Infinite, actually just confirmed the other day that it's still in 2021 for now. And they have a PC build that is stable enough to launch. So I do think we get Bright Memory Infinite announced in the next few days as coming out on the Xbox platform. The Gunk is in 2021. We don't know the date yet. I believe it's going to be later in the year. Crossfire X. Yeah. So like, what is going on with Crossfire X? I think they're working on the multiplayer portion or something like that. I Googled it back in February. There was something about it. I don't remember. What else we got? Tunic. That should still be 2021. And Scorn should also be 2021. And I feel like I'm forgetting stuff in the Xbox side of things. But yeah, so that was sort of the story. And just saying Xbox doesn't have anything worth playing. You're wrong. Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. You might not like it, but that game does speak to a lot of players. Games like Death's Door is a Game of the Year contender. Ascent reviewed poorly, but there is a large audience that love the Ascent. Flight Simulator, again, like these games, I think when PlayStation gamers or fanboys say Xbox doesn't have any games, what they're really saying is they don't have Naughty Dog, they don't have Insomniac, right? They don't have these sort of new franchises, and it's a fair criticism. Those people are just saying, why doesn't Xbox have these stellar, amazing experiences like we've gotten to experience on the PlayStation platform? And I think that's a fair criticism. But here's the thing. What they fail to acknowledge or recognize is the fact that Xbox almost died. Like literally after the launch of the Xbox One, Xbox was in such poor shape that Satya Nadella and Phil had that conversation. And they're like, hey, are we going to kill this thing or are we going to keep it going? And Phil said, let's keep it going. And he's been working towards where we are today. And the reason I get so excited about where the industry is, and the reason I'm focusing on PlayStation, Xbox so much is because people like to hear my thoughts, first of all. So yes, they watch the videos, but separately, it's an incredibly interesting time. Xbox has come back from death. They literally came back from death almost, right? And I would say the Xbox One era, which I hammered them for because the Xbox One was just not great. I do miss Rise, though. I see people tweeting about Rise all the time, and that makes me really happy. But it didn't run games as well. It had TV bundled in there. So the first step, they came out with the Xbox One. Oh, we got one from X Atticus says, Ubisoft needs to cut the crap and give us an amazing next-gen Splinter Cell. Absolutely agree. I agree with that 100%. I don't know why they keep teasing us Splinter Cell, but then they just don't do anything with it. It's weird. And you totally made me lose my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the original Xbox was bad. And then the Xbox One S sort of was this digital version of the console where you could play your games, and it was a great second console to put in the other room. And then the real turning point for me when Xbox really started to figure out is around the time they announced the Xbox One X, the Scorpio edition, Project Scorpio and all that. Still got my fancy controller. Because the console was very powerful, and I think it was a better upgrade than the PlayStation 4 Pro was at the time. And the place where the PlayStation started to lose me was with the PlayStation 4 Pro. So there's this moment in time when I can remember specifically saying Xbox is making this really, really powerful hardware that actually feels like almost a generational leap from the Xbox One to the Xbox One X. And here's PlayStation doing this sort of weird middle ground thing where games looked very good on your PlayStation 4. Like if you don't care about 4K, your PlayStation 4 was probably fine for you for a long time. And I just waited I never jumped at the chance to get a PlayStation 4 Pro because I'm like, they never really reduced the price. It was $400. You can't get them now, but they never really did anything there. And then you jump to the PlayStation 5 era. The PlayStation 5 has great games. They're focusing on AAA experiences, and they were able to build this impressive, stunning library. I'd say starting with the PS3. So the PS3 era, and I know I'm jumping all over the place. I'm going to get somewhere eventually, I hope. In the PS3 era, you remember Sony launched the most expensive console, and they didn't really have anything great on it. They did later on, like they came out with Heavenly Sword and stuff like that. But they started focusing on AAA story-driven experiences, and they just said, we're going to double down on this aspect. And eventually, near the end of the console lifecycle, we got The Last of Us. And for me, The Last of Us was when Sony really started to figure out what consumers want. And then the PlayStation 4 comes out, and we get God of War. We get Kojima's new game, Death Stranding, which I stand by the fact that Death Stranding launched in a controversial state. Some people hated that game. Some people loved that game. I recognize that a lot of publications called it the game of the year, but all I heard about Death Stranding for a year was it's a post office simulator. It's boring. Don't waste your time. That's all I heard about it. So I'm like, oh man, well, I'm a huge Kojima fan. I have like every version of Metal Gear ever made, except for Survive, because that's not a real Metal Gear game. And I'm hearing all this negative stuff about his new property, so I didn't play it. Now I'm playing Death Stranding Director's Cut. I started a little bit before it came out, and I really wish I just didn't listen to people because I'm actually really enjoying Death Stranding. But to say it wasn't controversial at launch, this is not true. It was. Like, to say that, like, I'm so far off base that nobody said it was bad, I'm just like, you're crazy. But I do like Death Stranding quite a bit. And the point is, we're at this point, and the reason that I'm so excited about gaming is because we are at this point. Thank you, Savage Joe. We're at this point in gaming history, let's call it, where Xbox, from the brink of death, has come back, and they are now offering Game Pass. They have a really great lineup of games coming down the line with Halo Infinite and Forza this holiday season. I think Crossfire X is going to be great. By the way, something that a lot of people didn't know about that is really, really interesting. I recognize Crossfire X was released in the past, but it feels like they're sort of bringing it back. Wolf Darkness, thank you so much for the, I don't know what currency AED is, but I appreciate it. And I lost my train of thought again. Dang it. You know, you're getting old when you forget everything. KK Days says, what do you think Xbox will show at TGS? Oh, I was talking about why it's exciting. Sorry. Yeah, so Xbox is at the cusp of what feels like a very, very interesting time of gaming because they have a lot of great titles announced in the coming months. This is from a Zocker video. When you start looking at what Xbox has set up for their ecosystem, they have Gears, State of Decay 3, Perfect Dark, Fable, Crossfire X, Elder Scrolls, Forza, Starfield, Avowed, Everwild, Redfall, Stalker, Hellblade 2, Outer Worlds 2, Contraband, Indiana Jones. There's Project Mara. There's the Project Indus, the Oxide game. There's the Project Exile from the In Exile RPG FPS game. There's the Project Dragon, which is the League of Legends Diablo type game. There's Project Missouri, the Obsidian game. There's the Compulsion game. We have no idea what that is. There's the new Coalition IP. There's the Double Fine IP, the new id Software game, the new ZeniMax game, a new MOBA, a new Cloud MMO, a new Kojima game, some sort of beat 'em up, some new Roundhouse game, and Minecraft games. And a lot of that was spoiled because of that NVIDIA leak. So when you think about what Xbox has coming and we know what PlayStation has coming, it is incredibly exciting. And if you're just going to pretend that PlayStation is making the moves that they're making and they have nothing to do with Xbox, that's just incorrect. They're looking at what Xbox is being successful at, and they're trying to offer that to their consumers also. And I think it's great. I think that's wonderful, and that's why I love competition, because it makes companies say, hey, how can we make our services better for our community? And that's what PlayStation is doing. And Xbox is doing that in a different way. Xbox is trying to answer that criticism of Xbox has no exclusives. Xbox doesn't have any campaign experiences like Last of Us. So just looking at the list, like Starfield comes to the top of mind as a potentially great story experience. Perfect Dark, I'm guessing, is going to be attempt to do that, or at least have stellar gameplay. I think Fable has a chance to do that. Elder Scrolls is going to be console exclusive as far as we know. Avowed looks like it's going to do that. Hellblade 2 is going to answer that criticism. Outer Worlds 2 is going to answer that criticism. Indiana Jones answers that criticism. I have to guess the NXIL RPG FPS is going to answer that criticism. We know the Obsidian game is going to answer that criticism. Like, why is Xbox doing this? Why? Because of comments like that one that I read at the top of this strain of consciousness topic. So yeah. Mullah says, I don't think Kojima is working on an Xbox exclusive personally. You might be right. Who knows? It's all just rumor and conjecture at this point anyway, but it's fun to discuss. Second to last topic real quick. Paul and I talked about, there, I found the button. Cyberpunk 2077 on Sunday. Thank you, Paul Tassi, for joining me. I have incredibly fond memories of Cyberpunk, and I'll just play this video here so you have something to look at. Yeah, I have a very fond memory of Cyberpunk 2077. I feel like that game gets a lot of hate because of the marketing around it and how the community feels about what CDPR told them and then what was delivered. Ari, thank you for the $2. By the way, excuse me. And yeah, check out this video if you want to see that. It's Paul and Destin, and it's all about Cyberpunk. We talked about it for like 30, 40 minutes because we are loving it. Can you put up what equipment you use in a future video? They say that YouTube creators should just put that in their description. So I'll put it in my description with links out to the parts if you're truly interested in that sort of thing. Anyway, yeah. So I love Cyberpunk. If you have any thoughts on Cyberpunk, let me know in the comments, because I really like the storytelling in the game, actually. Everything else notwithstanding, I do think it was good. What do you think about the Microsoft acquisition rumors? They're exhausting. Yeah, they're exhausting, honestly. That's my reaction to the Microsoft acquisition rumors. So yeah. I don't know why 8-Bit's yelling, but I'm just not going to let him post that. So one of the other stories that we have, let me know about your Cyberpunk thoughts. I feel like I started a thought and totally lost it. Sorry, buddy. The reaction to the live action Mario casting, including Chris Pratt, which apparently everybody hates Chris Pratt, has angered fans everywhere. They are very upset that Chris Pratt is going to be Mario. Here's my thought on this situation. It's a freaking cartoon. Watch it and make your decision after. If it's this whole thing with casting, people just write everything off as soon as they hear the casting. And I'm just like, can you like at least hear a line from him? Like, oh, that part was funny, Ma. He is very cool. I was like, what are you doing, Nintendo? Chris Pratt, he's cool. Like, that part made me laugh, genuinely, because it was such a strange reaction from a presenter in a Nintendo Direct video. Like, they didn't say any of the other actors or actresses are very cool. Charlie Day, he is very cool. Sav Savior says Cyberpunk 2077 is criminally underrated. Yes, it launched broken, but the story was amazing, and the voice of female V's deserves more recognition. That game, just generally speaking, I don't think people will ever get over the controversy of it, because a company that you trusted and loved with Witcher 3 came out and said, it runs great on previous gen consoles. I don't have the exact quote, but basically they said, it runs surprisingly well. Guess what? It doesn't. It runs like trash on last gen consoles. Why would you even say that? Why? There's no benefit to lying. Like, clearly they know that now. Their stock took a massive dip. They've been embroiled in controversy. So yeah. What else we got for Nintendo stuff? I took a few notes for this one because there were a few announcements. There was Bayonetta 3. People have been waiting for that forever, but then they remembered that it's launching on the Switch. So yeah, it doesn't look great. Doesn't matter. Combat's going to be great. And then they're going to remaster it and release it on everything probably, right? New Kirby game. Let's go. See, that's the thing. Like, everybody's so caught up in graphics. You know what game's probably going to sell better than all of them? That new Kirby game, the new Mario game, a new Zelda game coming out on the Switch. Largely, gamers underestimate how many people do not care about 4K ray tracing and all that. That's something that elitists like me care about. And I'm sure a lot of people watching care about these beautiful visual graphics. Yes, they're cool. But you know what every designer would likely tell you? Gameplay is king. If you have good gameplay, your game does not have to have ray tracing. It doesn't need to have all the bells and the whistles. It doesn't need to be 4K. Those are perks on top of everything. And so, yeah. Mullah says, will you be using the N64 controller? Hell no. I will never use an N64 controller as long as I live. Unless the only time I would do it is if I'm playing an N64 game that never came out with another controller as an option. That controller sucks. Anybody who likes the N64 controller is purely nostalgic for a time that was ridiculous. The N64 controller was never good. It was never good. And it never will be. Anyway. So, what else do we got? Oh, I guess it's question time. So if you want to call in, looks like we got Wozniak. So here's the thing with these call-ins. I take a chance and I say, you know what? I'm going to take a chance and let people ridiculously good. What did I say? What did I say is ridiculously good? I hate the N64 controller. Sorry, everybody. All right. So what do we got here? We got Wozniak. Wozniak, you're coming up. I think my desktop audio is set properly. Probably should have checked this before I went live. Hey, everybody. So Wozniak, you're coming up. I'm going to go in the live chat. If he turns out to be a jokester, I apologize in advance for the vulgarity. Here we go. Wozniak. Wozniak, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How you doing?
Doing great. You?
Doing okay. So one thing that I want to correct about this is I want these to feel conversational, but sometimes people just start talking and then I ask them off. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Go for it. What do you want to talk about?
No, sure, that's fine. It's just to be clear, Wozniak is Ari. That's me.
Oh, hey, Ari. How's it going, dude?
Yeah, doing great, buddy. So, well, talking about your channel, man, you're amazing. I'm just calling to say that,
thank you.
you know, you're great. You're my favorite.
Hey, you know what? You
guy
can keep
on
talking as
YouTube.
long as you want.
And you know, I was concerned the last time because the guys were trolling.
Trolling
Because
me.
you know, I am an Xbox fan. No, it's not your fault. But taking the opportunity on talking about this situation of the guys being like trolls and all that stuff, I have a question regarding KOTOR. So we heard that it won't be dealt by the guys from BioWare, right? It will be from a different group, and they hired that lady to work with the history.
Yeah.
And man, that was terrible. Have you seen the way that they treated that girl? That's awful. So I would like to know, one, what do you think about that team taking care of KOTOR? And two, uh, what do you think about her taking care of the rewrites if needed? That's it. And you're awesome, man. That's just it.
Well,
And
thank
I
you.
hope we can see everyone that is watching on YouTube to be joining the channel. I would love to see that channel working in an awesome way, create a great and healthy community. Those guys that are there are awesome. Destin created an amazing channel, guys. I extremely recommend everyone to join. And that's it. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Well, geez, Ari, thank you so much. Yeah, Ari comments a lot on the channel, and I appreciate you calling in and just saying some nice things. That makes me feel good. Thank you.
You're welcome, man. Take care.
Right. So to answer his question, and I'll just I'll deafen in here, but Ari, I'm going to leave you in there. So yeah. So his question was about sort of this controversial writer, and honestly, I don't have too much to say about this. I'm the type of person that likes to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? So when people are going around and they're digging up old tweets and just stuff that they've said in the past, I would rather let her writing and what she does with the remake speak for itself. So if it comes out and the writing is drastically changed and for some reason like it's controversial or something like that, then yeah, I'm probably not gonna love it, right? But I don't think she's gonna go. Why would you hire a writer that you think is bad? Like the team at Aspire clearly is hiring somebody that they think can do it. I do think people can change. I do believe in giving people a chance. She tweeted some bad stuff once. Okay, yeah. I tweeted about poop for the first like 20 tweets on my Twitter account. You know? Yeah. I do agree old tweets and receipts are important. But yeah, this is sort of a delicate subject because we're sort of getting into like cancel culture talk and stuff like that, right? And that's problematic in of itself. And I don't know enough about the person. I don't know enough about her past experience. I just want to see the work and let the work speak for itself. And that's sort of my take on the whole situation. And Ari, just to chime in really quick, do you feel like I answered your question? I shouldn't have deafened because you could have heard. You could have just heard it. I'll put you back in general. Sorry, buddy. If you want to call back in, yeah.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine, man.
Do you feel like I answered it? So it was a question about the lady writer and what else?
Yeah. No, I understand that sometimes she put some information that wasn't that good,
Uh-huh.
and everyone makes mistakes, right?
It's
So
it's kind of
I
it's sort of similar to what I was talking about earlier in the show, where Gal Gadot was cast as Wonder Woman, and everyone's like, she's going to be terrible. And then she came out and she was great. She was absolutely wonderful, right? So, you get this sort of controversial person doing the writing, and people are sort of upset about it. Let's just see how it goes and go from there.
exactly. Let's give her a chance.
Yeah.
I love culture in the way it is,
Uh-huh.
but I won't say, oh no, it's terrible. I hate her. She's a man hater. Blah blah yada yada yada. We need to wait and see.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's the point.
Twitter generally is an awful place for conveying your point or just having nuanced conversation. It's just like it runs into this problem. And well, way back in high school, I was really into sociology and psychology, but we hear a lot of talk today about echo chambers and how, like, if something catches on, then sort of like this sort of interesting thing happens where everybody just decides that's bad. And it happens to me a lot of time with like the trolls, where like they got a hold of the lists and they're just like, I know that I didn't make my list with malicious intent or to say that Xbox is better than PlayStation or anything. It was just to point out a simple fact, but people get a hold of it and they try and figure out a way to spin it to be incredibly negative and just sort of this whole toxic situation. And I just got to the point where I'm just like, I'm never going to win with these people. So I'm just not going to try anymore. I'll just block them and move on with my life. you know?
Yeah, you're so right, man. You're
Yeah.
so right because I'm gonna tell you something. Probably when I am the oldest follower that you have. I'm like 41. I started being a gamer with the Atari 2600, and every single time that I post a comment or I do something trying to be positive with everyone, and I got bombarded.
Yeah.
I'm older enough to say, okay, you know what? Let's disregard this situation and move on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nice people over there. Let's try to keep it positive, right?
Yep, exactly. You get it. You get it. And I try and keep it positive. I get passionate about what I get passionate about, but here's the thing. It got to the point where they're like, you're not allowed to say you like one console. That's bias. You're not allowed to do this. You have to act like this. And I'm just like, no, I'm done. Like, I'm almost 40 years old. You're telling me I can't say I like something? Nope. I'm done. I'm not going to like, see, here's the thing. Like, the thing about bias is everybody in the world has an implicit bias. Like, they just like things that they like. And I'm just like, yeah, I like what I like. So, and I talk about it. And the thing that I like is Xbox. But to think that I can't look at PlayStation and marvel at the technical achievement that a game like Spider-Man has accomplished is insane to me. I'm like, so wait. You think that I have so much bias that I can't look at Spider-Man and be impressed? Like, that's sort of the nutty thing. That's sort of the nutty thing to me. And then what's the other one? I talk about Returnal being my game of the year all the time. I talk about how great Ratchet and Clank is. I talk about how I'm excited about Wolverine. But people really latch on to when I'm negative about corporate policy of $10 more for games, corporate policy of not telling the team who worked on Returnal how much their game would be launching for. It's like Sony makes a lot of decisions that I don't think that the companies necessarily know all the time. So yeah.
Yeah, that's bonkers. That's
Mm-hmm.
bonkers.
Now,
All of this situation because, for example, myself, I have a collection of consoles. I have since the Apple II, the 2600 till now. I have a bunch of PlayStations. I have PlayStation 1, 2, 3, whatever.
yeah.
But I like Xbox. That's
Yeah.
okay. But I also like PlayStation.
Yeah.
And I like my Atari. So
Yeah,
come on,
right.
guys, let's be nice. Let's be positive.
Yeah. Ari gets it. Sappho says, still trying to prove yourself to ponies, Destin. You don't have to do that. No, I'm not. I don't care what ponies think anymore. And the fact that people even care at all says I'm doing something right, right? In my mind, I'm just like, look, you actually care about what I'm saying. I'm recording vlogs sometimes at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they get people so passionate about the topic. I'm just like, hey, in a way, you can look at it as like, oh, woe is me. These people are so mean. Or you can be like, people actually give a shit what I say and how I say it. And for so long, I just didn't say anything. And then I start talking and people are actually listening. So in a weird way, I appreciate that they actually care, that they care enough to call me out if I make a mistake. And then I just make another video about the same topic and correct it. So I'm just like, all right, like I have a wonderful community here on YouTube. Anybody watching, thank you so much. Like Ari calling in is Ari's great. So I got nothing to complain about. Really, the channel's doing better than I ever expected for a bunch of videos I record late at night for fun. So, yeah. All right, thanks for calling in. I got another caller, so I'm going to bring him in,
Just
okay?
keep it up, the good work. You're amazing.
Thank you.
I really enjoy your channel. Take care.
Thank you so much. All right, so we got Yo-Yo Loves Movies. Again, you can call into Discord. In the how to do that is in the comments below. Let's see Yo-Yo here. Yo-Yo, hey, can you hear me?
Hello, yeah, I can hear you. This is so cool.
Hey, yeah. So I used to do this more often. After we had the baby, it was sort of tricky. Let me bring you up here. So here is Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo, the reason I do the 30-second thing is because sometimes people will ask like a 20-minute question. So I'll just start the timer. But if you're cool, just go ahead. Like Ari was cool, so.
Cool.
I don't know. Maybe I'll ditch the timer thing. I was trying to like make it fun, but I like talking to people, so go ahead.
Cool. So I suppose my question is sometimes I look at things on Twitter, and the gaming community isn't always the best place for LGBT people. And my question for you is would you describe your channel and IGN as a safe place for LGBT people and LGBT gamers?
Man, that's a really tough question that honestly, I almost don't want to answer because I don't feel like as a straight white guy, I don't know that I'm most equipped to answer the question, you know? I hope so, right?
Yeah.
I hope so. If I ever saw somebody on my comment section going after somebody that's LGBTQ, I would ban them immediately, right?
Okay,
that's not acceptable, and leave them alone.
Yeah,
we're here to talk about games, you know.
Yeah, and that's good. It's really cool to hear. That's really cool to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, was that it? Be nice to each other. That's my answer. Like it's not hard, right? Like just be nice to each other. Yeah.
Exactly. You get it, Destin. That's why you're so cool at what you do. Love your channel. I love the way you speak as a journalist. I think what you do is really cool. I think what you do at IGN is so cool. And thank you for being a nice voice in the gaming community.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That was a very nice call. I appreciate it. I'm gonna take the next caller, but have a wonderful day, okay?
Yeah, you too. You too.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Oh, I cut him off. Sorry. All right, so we're going to do King here. King, hello.
Hey, Destin, what's going on?
Not much. How are you? So I asked that people try and keep it limited. What do you got for me today, sir?
Hey, well, hope you're doing well today. And I just wanted to ask you, so I noticed in games media recently, I think a lot of people have been pushing for Xbox to kind of have the third person over the shoulder type games. And I was curious, is that kind of the game genre that's getting pushed a lot more nowadays? That because I even noticed on some other podcasts when Deathloop got like a 10 out of 10 from IGN and like GameSpot, that people were saying like this isn't a year of gaming where we've had like the Breath of the Wilds or the God of Wars. And I'm like, well, what makes Deathloop any less of a game than those other games? So do you feel as though the gaming genre or games media in general is kind of pushing third person action adventure, open world type of games to the forefront?
I think the reason that conversation is coming up is because of the success of games like Spider-Man and The Last of Us. And like, that's the long and the short of it, right? Like there's the joke that the fanboys make the joke. I don't agree with it, but they say, okay, all PlayStation games are walking simulators and Xbox games are first-person shooters. And I don't know. Like, if you decide to tell your story in third person over the shoulder, I don't think that's a problem. If you decide to, tell it in a different way, that's fine also. But yeah, I don't really know how to answer the question.
Do you feel as though that this year has been a bad year for gaming in terms of the titles that we've gotten so far?
I think it's been a bad year because of COVID. I think a lot of games got pushed to 2022 because of COVID. Man, I'm really stuck on your third person games. I'm thinking about all the wonderful third person over the shoulder games, but does everybody have to design that way? No. No, absolutely not. Right. Like you can still was Hellblade was third person, right?
Yeah, it was.
That was on Xbox, and I adored Hellblade, and I can't wait to see what Hellblade 2 has to do. So I'm sure we're going to get more third-person games, especially with, like Elder Scrolls 6. You can play in third person or in first person. You can play however you want.
Yeah.
You know, so that's coming down the line too. And Starfield, I would bet is going to be third person. Well, no, it's Bethesda. Yeah. They'll let you do whatever, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. And well, let me look at, do I have my list handy here? Oh man, 1 second.
Because I also feel as though even when Perfect Dark got announced, or the initiative, when the initiative broke the news about them pairing with Crystal Dynamics, and then everybody was kind of bummed out to some degree that it was first person instead of third person. I was like, well, if the story can still be told in first person, it's still a good one. I'm like, just the fact that it seemed as though there was a general consensus of like it was a bummer that it was first person instead of third person. I'm like, I guess we're getting pushed more so that everybody wants to see the third person, even though like we have had successful first person games that some people do like that genre, but I feel as though now the people who maybe like that genre are getting pushed more so towards the third person.
No, I think a designer makes that decision very early on. I don't think there's an influence or a push. There's only so many perspectives that you can tell a story from, right? And when I took game design, and one of the classes we had to take was art. And they brought up like the different perspectives. You can do like top down, you can do first person, you can do third person, and each of those sort of deliver a different type of gaming experience. So when you look at Deathloop, one of the examples that you gave, that's first person, and they're able to tell this narrative that has really spoken to a lot of people. I only played like the first hour of Deathloop, so I haven't gotten to the good stuff yet. And there's other games, like if you look at Arcane, Dishonored 1 and 2, very popular games. Those were first person games. Do you think Dishonored 1 and 2 were bad games? Or do you think the community, or even just maybe not you, but the community, they largely thought Arcane did a wonderful job, right?
Yes, I'd agree with that. I think that's where my part of my contingent and my question comes from is that what if a game like Dishonored or the Dishonored series or like Deathloop are great games, if a game like Deathloop, like let's say for example, I guess what I'm trying to say is why does it seem like Deathloop's 10 out of 10 is lesser than like God of War's 10 out of 10 or something like a Horizon Zero Dawn's 10 out of 10?
Is that something you're seeing online? Because I don't think of it as lesser at all.
Yeah, I think I've seen that online more so. It's particularly with games media. I feel like that's where I've seen when I've listened to different podcasts and such. That's where they're talking about this year we didn't get like a Breath of the Wild type level game or a God of the War type level game. I'm like, well, if Deathloop is there, are we just assuming Deathloop is in that class, even though technically the media itself critiqued it as that level game with the score that it was given?
Huh. I know it's an interesting question. I think, well, I don't want to speak for you, but I don't know what podcast you're listening to. Let me look at Ratchet and Clank. Like that was third person. So Ratchet and Clank was good. Returnal was third person. That was good. Kana, which I'll say right someday. A lot of people adored Kana. And then on the Xbox side, like just looking at my list that I made not that long ago, we have Halo, which is going to be first person right around the corner. And then I know it's like people are going to write off Forza because it's just a racing game. Forza looks like it's going to be awesome, right? I don't know. I disagree with it. I think we got fewer major releases this year, but a lot of people talk about all these great games, and I'm like, that game's 2 years old, dude. You know, like Ghost of Tsushima, like it's not new, right? The Icky Island content is new, but yes, it's a wonderful game, amazing game, game of the year contender, but it's not new. Psychonauts 2, third person, you know. But yeah, I sort of get it. I think I get what they're trying to say. I think next year though is going to be the year. I think launch, PlayStation rocked launch in 2020. Xbox built their services during that time window. 2021 was exciting to me because in 2021 they built up their initial stable of games. And now we have sort of this start of a collection of properties. I can hear my son crawling outside the door. A start of collection of games. And 2022, when you start looking at like the list of stuff that's coming around the corner, it's really exciting because we know what's going to come from PlayStation, and we know now what's going to come from Xbox. So time will tell.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I'm going to take Sam's call. Thank you, King. Thank you for calling.
No problem. Have a great day.
You too. All right, Sam. Sam, you there? Can you hear me? I'm curious what the BDG stands for. Sam?
Yeah. Busy Dad Gaming.
Oh, hey! I know you. How's it going?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Just had a couple questions for you. One being more selfish and one just getting kind of your insight and input.
Okay.
So easily going to come in under the 30-second mark, so not too worried there.
Go for it.
So first one is, how has having a kid actually impacted your gaming and your love of games? Since you work for IGN, you're doing this stuff on the side, and then you're also having to keep up on all the news and actually play games. How's it actually impacted your life?
Having a son? I stay up later so that I can do stuff. I don't know. I love my son to death. Like, my son is the best thing that I've ever done in my life. Having him I care about him more than a video game. 100%. So I don't know, dude. You have kids. Your dad, busy dad gaming, right? So.
Yeah, mine's 7 months old, and we're actually going through sleep sleep training. So.
Yep.
That's been rough.
My son's about to turn 8 months old, and last night he slept great. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a sort of a strange question. I still get my game time. He goes to bed around 8, so I usually do a lot of my gaming after 8. It's been harder. I've actually really appreciated more bite-sized games. So, like Microsoft Reward Challenges give you a chance to play. I know it sounds like an ad, but I actually am obsessed with Microsoft Rewards. So it gives you this opportunity to play all sorts of little games, and I get to try stuff like Art of the Rally. I never would have played that game. Never. And I played it because it was a challenge. And granted, it's short, but like, yeah, you get to try it out. And I love that sort of stuff right now. But yeah, that's it. It's tough, but I would never do anything different. I want my son in my life for the rest of my life. I don't know what else to say about it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's been quite interesting, especially with, like you mentioned, the rewards, going through some of those things and actually playing games that are either quick resume or, it's been kind of challenging to play actual multiplayer games like with Halo and things like that. So try to get the time when I can. But kind of leads me into the second question of, so obviously Wolverine is one of your favorite properties, and we'll see how that game actually turns out. But in a perfect world, if you could have your perfect developer actually, make your perfect IP, what would it actually look like?
Perfect. Oh my God. I don't know. A perfect, that's too hard for me to think about on the fly, I think, man. Cause I would really want to think about, like, selfishly, I have this high design concept that I wrote when I was in college about a game that deals with, color and like different art styles and how it would evolve as you got further in the game. So the game would start out and you would just be like a sketch on a piece of paper. And the whole concept was, well, I'll ruin it for you because it's never going to get made. Something happens, you as a character, you wind up in a coma, and you're in this world, and the art style is correlating to the fact that you're in a coma and you're regaining consciousness. So it starts out, you're a sketch on a piece of paper, and after you're in your own head. I guess Psychonauts sort of deals with the concept of the mind, right? So you start out as a sketch, and it's about you re-solidifying your identity as a person, but the world would be fantastical, and you would be able to fly and become like a Hulk. And there was like a human form, a Hulk form, and a flight form, and you would have to figure out how to design levels around those core principles. And then the art principle would be you regaining consciousness, and eventually you would regain consciousness and come back to the real world. But then it would be perfect to set up for like a sequel of, well, does this person, almost like Chronicles of Narnia, eventually gain the ability to go back into this fantastical world of his imagination and continue on his path. But so selfishly, make my game, somebody. Yeah, selfishly, that's what I will want. But just let Raven Software make Wolverine again. That's I guess that, but maybe that's what we're gonna get with Insomniac. Yeah, Insomniac's Wolverine title. I'd have to think
really
about it more.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm a big superhero guy, so like the Punisher game, even though it was kind of bad, like actually somebody like taking the Punisher who murders, right, and sort of going crazy with that, because that's when Garth Ennis was writing the Punisher, and kind of just no holds barred, and they just kind of went for it. Good question, Sam. I'm gonna take one from Ty Jedi here, though.
Appreciate it. You have a good one.
Before I let you go, yeah, have a wonderful day, and I hope you keep watching. I always like your comments, even on Twitter.
Try to stay away from the toxicity.
Oh yeah, I do. Thank you, Sam. All right, we're gonna bring in Ty here. Ty, how's it going?
Oh yeah. Thanks.
Ty. Hello?
All right, we're gonna bring in Ty here.
Let's see if Ty notices they're on the air.
Oh yeah. Thanks. Ty.
Yep, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thought that was okay.
You might want to mute your speakers, because we're gonna get
Yep.
bad feedback in about 10 seconds.
I'm looking.
Ty.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Just pause
Yeah,
the stream.
Thought that was okay.
You might want to mute your speakers because we're gonna get bad
Oh,
feedback
right.
in about 10 seconds.
There we go, muted.
Hey, how's it going, Ty? What's your question?
Of course, now I can't hear you. Let me try this. New headset.
Test.
Can you hear me still?
Test. So Ty, I can hear you.
I guess
I'm gonna put
new
you back in
headset,
up
so
next.
Probably technical difference.
I'm going to put Ty back in up next. Ty, if you've unmuted the stream, you need to set up your audio settings in Discord to fix that issue. So we're going to bring in Sav Savior. How's it going? Sav wasn't ready for me. I'll put Axel in up next. Sav, you have 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2. Sav, you there? 1. All right, we'll put Sav back in there. Let's try Axel. Axel, you there? Hello. All right, so I'm going to put all of them in up next because they were not prepared, and we will go to the questions that I had from people who wrote in. If I can remember how to use my computer. All right, so we had 18 comments / questions from people who had wrote in. I said, send in your questions. We'll just rapid fire these, and then we'll try Discord one more time. Then we'll call the stream for the day. Hi, love the content, man. This one's from Martin. Curious, do you think Microsoft will hold off on any more studio acquisitions until maybe the Game Awards, then announce it with the game? Well, they're not going to hold off on any acquisitions if they're happening. The reason they won't do that is because that's happening behind the doors, right? Even the Bethesda thing we knew about before it was announced, but it takes a long time for the legal proceedings to go through. Kieran's Let's Play says, hey man, just wondering your 2 cents. Do you think 343 was holding back the co-op and Forge modes 3 months and 6 months? Yep. Purely so they have big content drops. No, they did not hold those back for content drops. They would never hold back campaign co-op as a content drop. That's a terrible. Yeah. Axel, I'll bring you back in after I read this next one. I get the feeling they might already be complete, and this is to allow them to try in future. No, there's something wrong with those modes. Those are not for content drops. There's an issue with those modes. I don't think that at all. So let's bring in Axel. Sorry about that. Hey, Axel, you there? Axel, test. All right, I'll continue reading these questions and I'll leave Axel in the chat there. He'll have to correct his audio settings. What do you think are the biggest areas each major console needs to focus on, Xbox, PlayStation? And what do you think will be the difference maker this generation? I think we're in an interesting generation where Xbox could potentially catch up to PlayStation by the end, in the same way that the PS3 ended up actually outselling the Xbox 360 during the 360 era. Not a lot of people know that, but that actually happened. PlayStation launched in a worse state than Xbox, but by the end of the console generation, even with all the PS3's problems, it outsold the Xbox. And I think that could potentially happen right now, because there's no doubting PlayStation is just crushing it right now. But Xbox has all of these service things that are really, really great, like Game Pass, like they've corrected the Xbox Live requirement, etc. So on the Xbox side, and they're working on it, they need to work on content exclusives for the platform. On the PlayStation side, they need to work on their services. How come I can't download PS3 games and play them? How come I can only stream them on your PlayStation service? What's it? PlayStation Now? Yeah. PlayStation Plus is great with the collections where you can download great games and play them. That is really, really smart. But the PlayStation Now service needs to be improved. So that would be the two areas that I think. They've already made themselves clear. Whether or not I agree with it, the 10 extra dollars. Axel said, sorry, don't know what happened. My question is, do you think we will see Elvis the alien in the Perfect Dark game? Yes, I do. I think it'll be a Easter egg, though. I don't think it'll be like a thing. Let's try Ty Jedi again really quick. That'll be our last Discord call for the day, and then I'll read all the questions and we'll call it. Ty, hello. Can you hear me? Ty. We'll give Ty a second here.
How about now?
I can hear you barely. Go ahead and ask your question, sir.
Can you hear me?
Barely.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, ask. Ty, I'll tell you what. It sounds like there's some technical difficulties. Just type it in chat and I'll happily... I can hear you. All right. I'm going to let you go, Ty. Just type your question in the chat and I will answer it on here. Just some weird technical issues. No worries, though. Yeah. I'll keep reading the questions and I'll look for your question typed out in chat. You sound like a laser robot, as Lyle said. So, yeah. All right. So what do we got here? What do you think? I've talked about that. Risk It for the Biscuit says, you cheeky devil. I knew something was up. I have a question. Oh, he's the one who messaged me on Twitter to saying something like, where's your video? A lot of PlayStation fans are concerned that Game Pass will lead to the death of physical sales. They're wrong, in my opinion. Do you think that this is Microsoft taking steps in that direction? Do you think PlayStation also wants to go digital only? I mean, PlayStation offers all their games digitally. I'm an OG Xbox owner and all the games I buy are physical, cheaper. I don't think gamers would allow, but I want to hear what you think. There will always be physical versions of games. I don't think we ever go all digital. But look at Steam. There's a lot of people out there that do not care about physical editions of games. Sure, you want to show me your big stack of games? I'll show you my big stack of games from the PS2, PS3, 360 era. They're in the closet, taking up space because I don't know what to do with the damn things. And the edition that broke my love for physical editions was the Batman Batarang that came, and I just put it on my shelf, and there's the Dead Space photo. I had all this junk, right? And then I moved to San Francisco and I'm just like, I don't want this anymore. I just want the digital edition. I want to click it. I want to launch it the same way I have on Steam for a decade. Like Steam, look at Steam, right? That's the future of where we're going. And if you want to look even further, this whole Samsung Xbox thing on TVs, that's what is going to happen once the internet gets better. So yeah. Little Drama says, please stop winding up the fanboys. You know what you're doing for drama and views. I know how to hide somebody on my channel also, which was very easy to do. That was fun. So that's another person saying, Destin, don't talk about stuff. You're not allowed to say things. Yeah, no, I'm going to talk about what I want. Dominic says, does anyone know what is going on with Nintendo? I feel like the Xbox plans were actually ended up putting the Switch more at risk for business than the PlayStation. Nintendo's fine, dude. Nintendo's so fine. Yeah, I'm not worried about Nintendo at all. Will we ever get Final Fantasy VII Remake on Xbox? No idea. He says, if so, when? Probably a year after would be my guess. Can you do Fallout 76 Custom Worlds review? Is it good? Did anybody play Fallout 76 Custom Worlds? I didn't. I never got the question from Ty Jedi. Let me try one more time. Hey, did you figure it out, Ty? No, he never did. All right. No more Discord calls. I love you, Ty. Best of luck with your day. Oh my goodness. Sorry, ready? Do you think Xbox should acquire Warner Bros? Yes. That would be great. If Xbox had Batman, will they? No. I don't think so. I think that ship sailed. What are your thoughts on Nintendo Switch Online? I think it's bad, but I also don't really play on my Switch very much. People are like, how come you never talk about Nintendo Switch stories? I'm like, I haven't turned on my Switch in forever. I turned on my Wii U more often, or my Wii, than I have my Switch in the last years, which was a little weird. Refresh the YouTube link to see his questions. Oh, okay. So he posted it in the comments on the live video. Oh boy. All right. What do we got here? What else we got here? Latest Microsoft Edge is actually awesome on the Xbox console. Stadia on Xbox Series X works awesome. Destin, are you going to play the Stadia horror exclusive game Guilt on Xbox? I haven't seen anything about Guilt. So yeah. If somebody could @Destin me his question, I will go ahead. Ty, just type @Destin and go ahead and ask the question. Gordon says, hey, Destin, what do you think about the Wolverine game being open world and located in Madripoor? Hell yeah. And did you notice the eye patch on the desk? I noticed that and I kind of lost my mind. Also, what superhero character do you think Xbox should use? I think Spawn would be great. They already have it, Batman. I think Xbox would be DC and PlayStation would be Marvel. I think I think that would just be like crazy, right? So yeah. Kitty Cat says, do you use emulators on your Xbox? No. Ernie Gutierrez says latest Edge. Oh, I read that one. Michael says, do you think we'll hear anything about ray tracing on Minecraft at all anytime soon? That didn't come out yet. I played that at Gamescom like 3 years ago. That's weird. Do you think, Destin, that Xbox will purchase another studio after Bethesda? Yes, they will. I don't know who. Was 12 TF marketing the most powerful console in the world a mistake for Microsoft? Because so far, we haven't had games that show the potential of the Xbox Series X. Yeah, I think here's the interesting thing. When the consoles were being marketed, there were literally people telling me, I love 4K 30 FPS. I don't need 60 frames per second. And I'm like, you're wrong. Once you get it, you're going to get it. PC, like I play on PC, so I play above 60. I just play on cap frame rate, right? So anybody saying they don't want it, I'm like, have you tried it? No. Maybe you should try it first before you start saying you want 4K 30 for the rest of your life. And it's fine if you prefer that. But the story changed so fast after they got to experience it. They're like, oh my God, yeah. Hayden says, how many of us petitioning will it take to get IGN to make Fireteam Chat a weekly podcast again? That was my decision to not do it weekly anymore. I have a son now. And also, like, they say that you should end something when it's loved. Otherwise it's just like going to be negatively regarded as opposed to positively regarded. So I'd rather people loving it and having positive memories about it and doing it when it makes sense as opposed to forcing it, Axel says, why we shouldn't want the comic heroes to be divided. Like, I don't want it like that. I think it would be a smart business move for Xbox is what I'm saying, right? Warner has the DC licenses. So yeah. Refresh. Oh, he wrote it in here. Okay. Great. I don't know where his question is. I can't find it. Oh man, I feel really bad. I can't find his thing. Ty, just post it in chat. Post it in chat, Ty. You have the little icon because you're a member. I wanna answer your question. All right. Anyone going on Nintendo? No. I'm gonna do one more. We'll do one random one. Let's see here. Why do people no longer talk about the mistreatment and crunch that Naughty Dog employees suffered through and quit because of during the development of Last of Us 2? I don't know. They probably should. Has Naughty Dog said anything about the crunch and doing anything about that? Philip, I am live, but I'm about to end it because I can hear my son's awake and I want to go play with my son. Alec has an interesting one about Sony. Do you think Sony's attitude towards the gaming industry and how they approach things are elitist? Things like how they say their platform is for, I don't think they've ever said that. Their platform is for real gamers. I don't think Sony's ever said that. I think Sony fans have. As well as making people believe that the $70 price tag is justifiable, and also saying like, we believe in generations. The we believe in generations thing was them. I don't know what he was trying to say. That's a quote from an interview. I don't think they've ever said the platforms for real gamers. I did a whole video about the business strategy that they're using. And basically it's the Apple approach, right? It's a premier console. You pay a premier price to play on that console. There's Ty. I play a lot of Destiny 2 on the PS5 and played Halo multiplayer on the Xbox One S. To me, it looked and played just great. I didn't notice a huge quality difference. Do I need an Xbox X? Halo Infinite runs great on every Xbox platform. It runs great on PC also. Do you need a Series X? No. Like if you get one, great. Just to play Halo? I mean, yeah, dude, if you can get a Series X, I would say get a Series X. They're hard to come by. But do you need it? Do we really need any console? No. Unless there's like exclusives on it and you want to play it, then yes, you need the console. Right? And that's sort of the whole argument about why people get mad when PC games come out, but who cares? It's a piece of plastic, dude. Play on your One X. It runs really good, Ty. So no, I don't think you need a Series X for Halo. Yeah, so Alec, I want to dig more into the "We Believe in Generations" quote to see like what they said versus what they've done, because they kind of got caught in that. They got caught in offering the free upgrades and then they're charging for it. But yeah, it's a play on the PlayStation side to charge people for the premier experience. And they're the gamers that play on the PlayStation platform, most of them, or at least the loudest ones, don't care about the $70 to them. Here's the insane thing to me and why the $70 thing. Like I just didn't want to talk about it forever. I didn't want to be the $70 or bad guy, but I don't think any of the companies need to be charging $70 for a game. They're posting record-breaking profits. All of them already were posting record-breaking profits. And then they're like, we need to charge $10 more for games because the developers need the support. I call bullshit. I think you're not telling the truth. How can you be posting record-breaking profits at all the companies that are charging $70 games, and then all of a sudden like, yeah, we need to charge $10 more? You don't. It's just like, we can charge $10 more, so we're going to, and they do. So yeah. I did a video in 2015 about EA's profits and Activision's profits and how insanely high they are. And then these companies are like, yeah, we're going to start charging $70 for games. And I'm just like, well, that sounds like bad to me. Grant, a lot of people talked about back in the 90s how games were more expensive. And at some point, the industry standard became $60. And I'm very happy to see the companies that have stuck with the $60 price point and not try to get that $10 extra, because The other interesting fact is what happened was they started to figure out new ways like cosmetics and all these other strategies to get the few extra dollars out of consumers, right? So then they upped their game to $70. You think that stuff's going away? No, because companies are driven by profit margins. So now they have this 10 extra dollars that they're getting, which increases their profit margin. And they're still going to want the microtransaction revenue because that's the formula that works. So in my opinion, no, the $70 thing isn't going to go away. But there's a separate question there. Are you getting good value when you spend $70 on a game? That's sort of a subjective question, but I would say Ghost of Tsushima, worth $70, of course. Even Death Stranding, I would say, yeah, $70. I played 20 hours of Death Stranding and I'm on chapter 4. So for me, like when you look at time versus cost ratio, compare that to a movie. Movies are $10 per person to go to right now, and it's 2 hours. $70 for 20 hours seems like a steal to me, depending on the game. There's lots of games out there that you could easily, the value proposition is there. And that's why people don't care about the $70. Anyway, that's like God of War in the PS4. I'd pay $70 for God of War. Like, I don't care. I want the next God of War. And that sentiment that I'm expressing is what a lot of people are expressing. If Halo Infinite was $70, I'd be like, sure, but it's not. The multiplayer is free. And yeah. Anyway, that is it for this stream. I'm going to go hang out with my family. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you like this sort of stuff, let me know. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when videos go live. It was fun doing a stream with you today. I might do more streams on Mondays, potentially in the evenings, because Mondays are really hard to make content for. Nothing usually happens on Monday. Everything happens on a Tuesday, right? And then by Thursday, usually there's a ton of stuff, and sometimes I can program through the weekends. Paul and I record on Wednesday, but Mondays are tough, so maybe we'll do streams on Mondays. This was great. Thank you, everybody who has watched. How many concurrents did we end up having? I closed the tab stupidly, so I don't know like how the stream did. I just kind of was hanging out with everybody. What's going on here? Well, whatever. I'll assume it did fine. Thank you, everybody. I'll catch you for the next one. I'm going to get out of here. See you soon. Bye.